if you've watched the show before, you know these are colors I'm not Okay, here comes a good one. Unexpected in the shadows. I like to put unexpected things everywhere. I don't know, you ever remember being a kid and playing with the shadows on the wall and doing little birds? Hi, welcome to Give Your Wall Some Soul. I'm Shannon Grissom. This is our 40th episode, and I'm really excited. We're starting to be shown in stations all over the country, and I wanted to particularly thank Germantown, Tennessee, Manhattan, New York, Albuquerque, and then a host of wonderful stations here in California. So we're giving the whole nation some soul, and I'm working on the rest of the world. Well, I also have some good news about the sock monkey. Yep, we start the show with our picture of the sock monkey every episode, and we're working on a movie, and it's all about Clyde. Clyde is the name of the sock monkey, and so we're doing some animation, and it's just going to be awesome. So he's his very own star now, and within a month or so, you'll be seeing episodes of Monkey Made of Sake's adventure, so that's going to be really cool. Well, today we're going to do some reflections in the water. It was a wonderful moss landing scene, and very little red, lots of cool colors. I'm really excited to do this. Had a lot of requests for some water scenes, so this will be a great one to do. The first thing I'm going to do is kind of do a rough sketch. Even though I've got it sketched out in pencil, I want to block in the big shapes so that I can have a map as far as where to go. I'm going to take a little bit of medium and pull down some purple. And why am I pulling down purple? And why am I using purple to sketch with? Because I like it. No other reason than because I like it. And one of the things with reflections that tends to happen with me is that I lose my place of what's real and what's not. So I want to get the actual solid objects blocked in first so that I can see where they're at. This is going to be a lot of water here. Now I cropped this photo. It was tons of boats, huge scene, and it was just way too busy to do in an hour show. So I'm just going to select little bits of some of these abstract shapes and little bits of boats so that we can get this done. Okay, so that's where I'm just trying to get a sense of where one boat stops and the other one starts. There's a lot of messy stuff going on up here. I'm not sure how much of that I'm going to put in. Okay, so now at least I have enough to block in some basic shapes. And this goes up like this, sort of. And where does this boat end? It's got all kinds of stuff going on here. Okay, well, one of the things that, what happens once I start painting, I get sucked into the painting. And I have to warn you that with reflections, there's a huge danger of me getting sucked in, because once you get into this reflective surface and you start painting things like that, it tends to put you in a reflective mood, so you really get absorbed. Now, what am I going to start with first? Normally, I would, you know, my rule is start with the things you know, and then sneak up. By the time you get to the places that scare you, then you know you're just there. You don't have to worry about it. So what's really easy? What's a gimme kind of thing? Well, let's do some of these windows. They're big shapes, so we can get them done. I'm going to take some, and we're using some colors that we don't always use either. They're very powerful. This is some phthalo blue, which takes over. Remember, it's my Rodney Dangerfield of blues. I'm going to mix that with a little bit of white. And look how it doesn't do that much. Well, it just brings out the blue. It really doesn't change it that much. It doesn't lighten it that much. But now these are windows. They can't be that bright, nor that blue at this point. And so I'm going to add a little bit of red to tone that down. And that's a quinacridone violet. And that wasn't enough, so I'm going to add a little bit more. So that toned it down quite a bit, but it's still not enough. And I really want to have some instant gratification, so I'm going to stick some red in there. Cad red light. Did you guys see that fly go by? Ooh, it's going to be like that episode with the gnat where I had to kill it on the canvas. We can't have that today. I can hear my director going, no, please don't do that. See, it's a good thing I don't have a little earphone in my ear because then I can't hear what she's saying. And I could just go ahead and take care of it. All right. So now we have much more neutral color. Nice gray. Still with a bluish tinge. I'm going to add a little more red to that. There's a fellow here that's indispensable, Mr. Sean. He said I should have magic red because I love red. He knows I love red. And it really is magic, so I think I'm going to start calling it magic red. Hey, Bob Ross had magic white. Okay, so let's put in some windows. Just block in some basic shapes. This is kind of dark. Whoa. I think I'm going to, oh, and you'll notice that there are, I'm not going to paint in those little lines of ropes or whatever they are. Who cares what they are? I'm going to put those in over the top later. But I'm not going to paint around those things. Now I can tell that this brush doesn't have enough control for where I want to be at this point in time. So I switched to one that's going to be more effective. It's also going to give me some cleaner edges. All right, now this one has some light and some dark in the window. So again, I think I'll block in the whole thing and put this stuff over the top. That's why I usually don't see too detailed a drawing, because I'm just going to paint over it anyway. Okay, so this is going to be dark hair. It's a beautiful day at Moss Landing. Lots of cool colors reflecting in the water. Okay, this one I think I will, there's that orange pole that I want to stay away from, so I will paint around that. Now you notice I'm not making precise shapes. This is good, good enough. Now the window shouldn't be all the same color, so I'm going to grab a little bit of white. Oops, I contaminated it with my blue. Normally, that doesn't happen until way later in the process. Okay, let's see if this is light enough. It's a little bit lighter. Just makes it look like something's going on, so it's not so boring. And I'm just throwing it up there. Let's see. Now, this window looks pretty dark, and but you don't have to paint it exactly like the photograph. Throw in something so it looks like, gives it more mystery. Something has to be happening there. Okay, so there's some dark shapes there. Now let's talk about, let's do more windows while we're at it. I'm just going to vary them slightly because I don't want the same window color everywhere. There's so dark right here. This brush is so much better. Let's see, I'll add a little more violet to this window. So I'm going to take the mixture that I already have and add Carbazole Violet to that. Now, a lot of the crew had no idea that my monkey had a name. And he really didn't until I decided to make the movie. But I had to give him a name. And so they're wondering, how did I come up with Clyde? I mean, that's just, you know, where'd that name come from? Well, there are a couple things. Clyde was my childhood dog that I grew up with. But there's this great story about Clyde. My dad worked at IBM, and they used to page, he'd be at work and they'd page Clyde beers. And Clyde was some mucky muck. And everybody would say, oh yeah, we had lunch with Clyde, or we know Clyde, and Clyde is cool. And my dad, you know, his manager was saying something, and my dad said, you know, I don't know Clyde. I've never met Clyde. And the manager said, you know, you're the first honest man I've run across. There is no Clyde beers. We just made up Clyde beers as a joke, and it's funny. All these people are going around saying that they knew him. So he really was fictitious. So there really was no Clyde. We ended up naming our dog Clyde. So that's how he came to be. And when we came time to name the monkey, I thought, yep, we got to name him Clyde. I'll throw in some white on this too. Now I'm in the middle of painting and telling you Clyde stories, and I got to tell you, when you start painting too, at first you'll think about just every little thing that you're doing on the canvas, but once you start painting, you're going to go to a lot of different places, and a lot of stuff's going to run through your head. So it's amazing the kind of stories that you'll be able to tell when you're painting, and that when you look at a painting, you'll remember things that you were thinking about. Don't let that scare you. Okay, I'm adding a little pink. Clyde made me do it, just because I want a little variation here in this blue. I don't know what's up with the blue lately, because, you know, I've been blue challenged, but it just needed to be in my paintings. That really didn't do much of anything, did it? Okay, should have wiped my brush. I don't want it bright, I just want it a little lighter. Let's see, there's a little, I'll throw in some straight white in there and blend it. So there's a lot of little color going on in there. So normally, what am I doing when I'm doing these windows? You throw in the big blocks of color, then you throw in a little bit after that. So when I do the first statement, when we do this first show, I'm going to do just the big blocks of color and not a lot of detail. And we'll see how much time I have, how much I can throw in those windows. Because, you know, I could spend the whole show on a window and you'd be gone. All right, so I need to throw in some white there. I'm going to wipe my brush off a little bit. Grab some straight white. But I'm going to pull some down here so that I don't contaminate the rest of this pile. And just put it over here so that I can go into it with my dirty brush. Because even though this is light in here, I don't want it to be bright. It looks like something's going on there. Okay, what are there some big shapes that we can base in? Well, let's start with the sides of the boat. That'll be great. So I'm going to make a dark, but I'm going to make this a little warmer right here because this is closer. A little dark area right here. So let's take some, again, I'll start with this mixture here with the phthalo blue. But I'm going to add, besides the red, let's see, I'll add more red. Because we just don't have enough. See, if there's not an overt red, there has to be some undercover, really, really covert red going on there. Oh, that's nice. So if you don't think you see red in my paintings, you will. Okay, this makes a nice little chocolate color. I like chocolate. Chocolate's happy, red's happy. That's going to work. Why am I not using straight black? Because it's boring. It's just boring. There's nothing wrong with it, but just a straight black is just boring. Okay, so what area am I working on here? I'm going to put some of this right here. This dark color right here. You know, this is great because the theme of the Sock Monkey movie is primates of the Caribbean. And we filmed I got some of the scenes at Moss Landing. And poor Clyde gets kidnapped. So some of the background marine scenes were there. And it was also shot he gets kidnapped by pirates when he's on the golf course. So Ridgemark in Hollister, California was kind enough to let us shoot there. All right, now, anytime you want to make form on this side of the boat and make it look like it's going round, it's going to have to be lighter in the middle here. So I'm going to throw in some light. I'm just going to take my brush that's already dirty, and that didn't do anything. Let's take some red. Magic red. Mr. Sean was right. Now, that looks like magic peach. I don't know if we're going to use that, but maybe by the time I mix it, it'll be good. Okay, when I put it down, nothing happened. You too can do this at home. No, I need to wipe my brush off so that you can see something, a little color note change. Okay, that's better. So there's some light here. See, though I used all that red, it's still more of a gray. All right, so then I'm going to put the darker on the sides and blend up to it. And this is all rather sloppy because I want to block this in and not worry about the details. Perfect. The only danger here is overblending. All right, so I'm leaving that alone. That's considerably darker than these two sides, so I'm going to go ahead and lighten that up and throw in some other colors. This has so much, this side here has so much going on, so many different colors, that it's not a quick block in. So I'm just going to put in some of the dark and then move over to here because that's quicker. I like to get the big shapes done first. I'm going to get a little bit of medium. Look at the light side of the boat and the dark side. We have red highlights and a red buoy, which is great. And you know that's why I chose this one. All right, so now it's time to add some light to this. So let's see, I'll take some straight white. I thought I wasn't going to contaminate that, but that's a mess up there. All right, so what am I looking for here? I want a lighter gray. I'm just going to take some of this mix and put it over here and see what happens. Remember how I said that blue was just really powerful and it was like Rodney Dangerfield? It totally takes over. It's very loud, so I need to tone that down. Okay, and I'll add a little more white. That's better. Right into the red. Keep it a nice neutral gray. I'm going to wipe my brush, or I did wipe my brush, and that's going to go on the side. Now, when you look at the reference photo on the computer, it's great. You really get a lot of the detail. When you lose some when you print it out, depending on how you print it out. So it'd be nice to actually look at the screen when you're doing this. But you know what? This is good because it helps you make up colors that you wouldn't normally do. I'm going to throw in a little ultramarine blue and mix with that. Oops. Can't get into the red area there. I really want to get the basic shapes in so that we can play with this water. Because I can say a good half of the show is going to be this water. Okay. Now where else can we get some quick instant gratification? Well, let's put in some of the white. Though I think I need to get some clean white out because I made a mess. This is a new tube, and if you haven't seen the show before, you know that on a new tube you got to knead it. Otherwise you get a lot of oil out and very little pigment. Okay. I'm going to add, because I'm painting the white bright spots, I'm going to add a little bit of cad yellow deep to that to warm it up. Make sure my knife is wiped really clean because otherwise just a dash of that blue, I could change the name, no, I'd get in trouble, but I could change the name to Rodney Dangerfield Blue because it just takes over. So if you have even a drop on that, it will affect this. So I'm just going to take just a little bit, this much of the, if you can see that, just on the tip of my knife, and I'm going to put that into the white. So it's just warming it up a little bit, not so that it's noticeable that it's a yellow color or an orange. And then I'm going to quickly put in the whites. All right, so the sun's hitting this side of the boat. And at this point, you can't really tell what I'm doing because it's white on white, but it will make sense later. Okay, so there's white here. And I do want to get this in at this point in time because you can always go over white. You can go on top of white, but trying to put white over something that's dark, you got to wait till it dries. All right, so this is light. Oops, I picked up some blue. So I'm just going to wipe my brush a little bit. And throw some more white here. Add a little bit more cad yellow deep to that. And you know what, that, I have to tell you, that was just, that was one of those instinctual things. I wasn't planning on doing it, my hand just went there. And you'll find that happens when you start painting. But I think it did need a little bit of warming up, so that's good. All right, that's just some sort of pole going through there. I'll leave that alone. I want to put in the big shapes so that I don't lose my place. There's just so much going on. Okay, where else is there bright white? Right here. On the inside of this. This looks like a little pirate's boat. And not a ship, but just a little boat. I'm just pulling this over and trying not to pick up any more blue. Where else is there some light? Underneath here, but I've got blue on my brush, so I'm going to wipe it first. Hopefully get it off. Covering up a lot of what I already drew in there just because, you know, it's just a matter of simplifying. Okay, I don't even know what this little shape is here and whether I'm going to put that in or not. That's dark, 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 dark. Where's some more light? Just follows this circular shape. Okay, and then above here is light. Okay, so now what's another big shape that I can quickly put in? Well, I'm gonna start with this section here. And although this is light right in here, it is not bright, so I'm going to gray it down a little bit. I'm going to take some of that white mixture I had, move it over, because I may need some of that later. Maybe not so far. Add a little bit of this gray that I made. And that's not, I think it needs a little violet. Maybe even a little red. Not quite, see, these are about the same value. This isn't that much darker than that, but it's a lot cooler. So sometimes a case of, it's not something that you need to make a different value, it's a case of making something warmer or cooler. All right, so let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I think that's going to be, you know what? I'm going to add a little bit, just a tad, of Phthalo Turquoise. Why? Because that's going to be gorgeous. Because I just know that I would love that color right in that spot. And this is another one. All the phthalos, remember, phthalo, Rodney Dangerfield. Those are the ones that take over, and they're a little loud, so you have to use them in moderation. So I'm just adding a touch of that, and that adds that nice little green tinge to that. Very pretty. Maybe what we could do is just equate all the colors to actors. I'll have to think about this one. And I needed to wet my brush first, otherwise that's not going to be effective. Okay, yep, that's good. That's totally good. And if it was bad, I would tell you too. So when you're looking at this, know that you don't, we're painting for an hour here. This is real time. There's no editing. There's no, what you see me doing is how long it takes me to do it. And we don't get a painting done in one session. We get it covered, we get it to a certain point. So don't think that you have to get it all done in an hour when you're trying this at home. Okay, so this is kind of this round shape here, and there's a little reflected light here, and I'm just going to add a little tiny bit of that blue there on this reflected light side. And then throw in the rest of the gray, and that's going to be a combination of the two. And let's see how, with a little more of this phthalo turquoise, and you can see I'm just skirting the edge here. Yep, that was too much. A nice one to tone that one down with is anything pink here, which would be the, yeah, that's definitely going to do it. That's a nice gray. Okay, I'll throw that in. So we have to keep moving. That pink that I was referring to really has a name. It's called Permanent Rose. And I'll throw some of this gray in over the top. I think this brush is too small for this area. Too late now. I'm just scribbling this stuff in. And I'm going to soften these edges where I'm blending between the shadow and less shadowed side. And there's a similar dark for simplification here. I'm just going to make this dark here similar to what's down there. Ooh, and there's some bright little turquoise stuff right here that I'm just going to throw in. That was a little too much. I need to add some white up there. Went a little overboard. I think that's too dark, but that's okay. Got to keep moving. All right, so that was light. This is the dark side of the I'm going to keep giving that shape so that we know where everything's going. All right, and what's here? This is just kind of a triangular shape. Things are starting to emerge. Throw that in, throw in a little bit of dark hair. Okay, so I could spend all day on these boats, but you really just want to see the water right now. So what I'm going to do is, it depends on how much time we have in the show, and I'm not really sure how to gauge this. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the water side, and if we can, we'll move up to the boats, and if we have time. If not, at least you'll be able to see how this stuff reflects. I will need to put the red stuff in here to make that work, but I'm going to go ahead and block in these huge big shapes here and just put it in. Okay, so what do I want to do with that water? I think it definitely is a phthalo with a little bit of phthalo blue and phthalo green mixed together. It's medium in value right here. So I'm going to mix that. I'll throw in that needs to be a little grayer. It's a gorgeous color. I don't know if it's going to work, but I like it. Let's just see. No, it needs a little more ultramarine blue. Let's see how that's going to work for this. That's pretty good. Okay. So I'm going to take that, and you know what? I roughly mix that, so you can see lots of different color variations in there. And I need a big brush because we're talking about getting a lot done in a short amount of time. Always use the biggest brush you can feel comfortable with in an area. Okay, so what area am I working on here? What am I doing? Right here. And now one of the things to keep in mind if you're doing it on a hot day or if you're doing it, I'm doing it in the studio under hot lights, that I'm going to need to put this down and do whatever blending pretty quickly because even though it's oils, I'm using some medium and it will dry rather quickly. It'll still be tacky to the touch, but it won't blend as well if you don't move it real fast. It's something to consider. In the winter, you can take all the time you want. Like that. Okay. Now I didn't mix enough, which is good because this is where students in my class say, oh God, I got to mix it again and I just got the perfect color. Well, that's all right. It'll add interest to have a little bit of different stuff going on in there. Okay, so this is dark. Now I'm just trying to find out where these shapes were so that I don't lose my place. There was dark here, there's light there. There's blue on the bottom. Let's throw in some of this gray. And actually some of the white too. Let's find another big brush. You got to put enough paint down. Now, normally, you know, I don't use a lot of paint when I'm painting. I put on very thin layers. When you're working with this, you got to just put it down. Okay, so this is gray. There's some like big old blob of white here. Don't worry if you didn't get the reflections in the right place. Nobody's going to know what, you know, just put the color down. You might have somebody analyze it and say, oh, that wouldn't go there, but then they're really not caring about the painting. If it looks good, just put it down. All right, and then we have some light over here. Don't even know what that was. Okay, that was... I've got to put some of these bigger spots in because otherwise I will lose my place. Let's see, there was some light here. And I'm going to put the reflection of this here. It's got to be a little bit lighter than what was there. So I'm just going to, whoa, I'm making a mess here. Okay, let's see. It actually looks darker here than it was there, so that's what I'm going to put down. I'm going to use that, I think I'll use a clean brush so that I'm not tempted to contaminate. All right, so that's darker. Normally, well, not normally. You know what? I just look at and to see what these shadows are doing. A lot of times when you look in the water, it's, and I don't think I had enough paint there. I'm going to put some more down. It's lighter than what you see. Lighter and grayer than what you see, but not always. Okay, I'm going straight into the white. And I'm going to lighten up this little area here. So we had, see, I'm just putting really crude shapes in. I hear somebody saying, I'll say, that's okay. That's how it all starts. All right, down at the bottom. Got to anchor this puppy. There was not even a pun intended on that one. Okay, so there's that. And then this has to have some dark stuff going on here too. Now this is definitely grayer than what's up there. Where was that nice little, I need a little red to gray this down. I like all that color that's going on there. Okay, this is dark. And this needs to be a little darker here. I'm going into some straight purple. Why? Because it's dark in value, because it was easy and it was quick, and because I liked it. But the dark in value is what's going to make it work. Wasn't dark enough, so I'm going to add a little blue, tone that down a little bit. Okay, so I'm just getting these basic shapes in. This goes, that's going this way. I want to make sure that I have this enough. This light, I think, needs to go a little further than I made it. So I'm going to get a clean brush, sort of clean. Yeah, it's not even clean. Close enough. And extend this here. Not the same color, but it's okay. It's close. Okay, so what do we have? We have that going on there, this here. This needs to go down. I'm just basically checking my drawing. How far did I make that reflection go? So this whole process is just putting in these random shapes that you see, where they look like they're random. And let's see, that's a dark reflection here. And then there's a light orange color in there I got to put in. Yay, we're getting to some red, something close to red. Okay, so I took some white, cad red light. That was a little overdone. Maybe not. And I need to put that in. Okay, so where am I? This is, that was a little too light. I'll fill the whole thing in and put red over the top, and we'll tone it down. I can tell you right now this is going to be too much. I was tempted to put it down anyway because, you know, I like my red. Well, I'm going to do it in both spots. Right here it has red on the bottom. And so it's like a mirror image. Well, like a mirror image, that's funny. It is a mirror image. And then this has a little more subdued, but I can mix it with some of this other color here. Probably should have kept my brush clean for this area here, but no, I didn't. That's good enough for that little guy. At least I know where that is. Okay, so this is lighter, this is here. What else can I throw in? This is a very light orangey kind of color. Muddy orange color. And what else am I seeing? We need some more blue to come up here and then fill in the whites. So I'll go back to making some more of that blue, but before I do that, I'm running out of space here on my palette. All right, so let's just throw some white down. Doesn't matter if it's in the right place. Just throw it down. And there's white here. See how I'm holding the brush? I'm not doing this pencil thing. I'm just, it's more like a, I don't know, you just grab it and you have a lot more, we're not doing pencil little strokes here. Just get the paint down. Get your hands dirty. I know that sounds funny. Anybody that knows me knows that as much as I love to paint, I don't like to get my hands dirty. But that's what you got to do to get this job done. Okay, let's throw in, I got to lift this up so that I can get some of this light in down here. Okay, now I need to mix some magic blue, make some magic happen here. All right, so I'm trying to get about this color. I'm going to pull all that white down and see how quickly we can do that. Needs a little more phthalo blue. See how I used just a little bit? That's not gray enough. So I added some, what did we do last time? We added some ultramarine blue. Whoa, not that much. Ooh, but I like it, it's pretty. Let's see if that'll work. Yeah, we will merge it. See, so it's not the same color we had before, but we're using it. Would I have painstakingly tried to match the color if I wasn't in a hurry and trying to get it done in a show? Nope. Nope. Sometimes you just got to put it down. And I will merge it with the other stuff that's here. So right now I'm following everything, all the strokes are going up and down. Oops. There is some other color in here. I'll throw it in after. Let's see, what else can we put in here? And I will merge this with the darker color on this side. I'll just throw some of this over the top. Let's see what's going on here. Now I'm going to start getting, because we are getting, 3/4 of the way through the show. So we got to get some color in here. We got to get it fast so that it looks like something's going on. So now I start getting messy. I grab the knife, grab a little ultramarine blue. Don't mix it with anything. A little liquid. Put it down. That's good. And then there's another note of blue over here. Put that down. We need some orange, so I'll grab red because I like it better. And where was that? That needs to match this pole that we didn't paint up here. Okay, so there's a pole up here. Okay, so then there's a reflection of that pole right off this puppy here. And is there another little orange in here? Yeah, we'll throw some in just because. And maybe there was something over here we just didn't see. And we'll throw it in here for balance. And what else could we put in here? Maybe a little violet or a little gray. Okay, are we through with the water part here? Almost. We've got this buoy. This buoy. This needs to be more of a shape like that. All right. So now how do you go from this mess to some water, or to make it look like it's some water? Well, the first stage is you've got everything going down. So let's get I'm going to wipe this slightly. This is a good stiff brush. And I'm just going to start pulling color down right into the other stuff. So I'm going to pull this down. I don't even know what I did there, but I'm just, in the interest of time, just going to keep going. Starting to be a little more subdued here. I'm going to pull this into this. I'm wiping my brush after each time. So everything right here I'm pulling down. So that's the first step. And of course, to get this stuff on the bottom, you got to lift this up a little bit to reach that. All right, so that's step one. I want to actually connect these little dots here. And you know what? This doesn't have enough interest in it over here. So rather than add a little light here, I'll throw some violet, maybe something else, because there's just other stuff going on over there. Okay, so that's step one. You push everything down. It's like this whole depth thing. Then you take your brush and you got to keep a paper towel in your hand at all times for this. So I'm just warning my director. Okay, so you have everything going down. Then the next step that you do is you bring it from side to side. And this starts, and I'm wiping. And this starts, and I'll kind of go from side to side here. This starts making the water look like it's really happening. And I know you said you're supposed to wipe every time, and I forgot. It just happens. So there are things you know, and there are things you do. And if you look close, because I did this quickly, you could still see some of the stuff under there. pencil lines that I really didn't want to, I didn't really want to leave there. But that's just what's happening right now. Okay, so this is a very subtle water thing that's going on right now. Now what would happen in this, again, is I would do 2 or 3 more layers so that it would work. Now none of this looks like it's making any sense until you get all the other things in place. So I'm going to totally finish up, block in this top part, but I also want, I'm going to lift this up again and get this bottom layer. But I also want to put in reinstate some of the darks again, just because I lost that when I blended. And why? Because I overblended. So, just so that you know, this could happen. This could happen to you. Okay, so this was darker here. So it's just a case of putting this in. And then once you put that in, just look for all the other darks, put them in, and then you can blend again like we did. That was dark here. That was dark. Maybe some longer ones just to add some interest here. Dark over here. Throw in some blue. And then go back to that blending. And then I'll go back and see if I can block in the little time we have left. So that gives you a rough idea of how that effect starts to work. And so know that I don't see very few people that get it on the very first time exactly like you want it. But this is a good start. Okay, so now how am I going to, in the last few minutes, get this painting to where it makes sense? Well, let's put in some sky and or some water, some light stuff going on here. So I'm going to take most of this is just straight white, a little bit of cad yellow deep. I'm just brush mixing at this point, and a tiny bit of blue. That's going to go up here. And I'm just beating on this canvas. Now in the picture, this area is blue, and I wanted some separation because I've done about all the blue I can do for today. And then, now there's shore over on this other side, but I don't want to put that in over there either. This is where you just change the colors to suit you, because we are, after all, painting and not, if you want to keep it the same, you can just blow up the photograph. Painting right over that rope, we can add that in later. And let's throw in some other bigger shapes. There's some kind of an orange reddish thing going on here. Of course, mine's going to be redder than it shows in the picture. All right, so that's that spot there. And I think it comes over a little further because that pole's got to come off of that somehow, some way. Throw in a little bit more of this orange down here as we go. And what else? Oh, this was this reddish area here that was a peachy color. And what I'll do is I'll blend that with a dirty blue brush to tone that down. And this needs to be dark here. See, this is all this whole thing starts to take shape and make sense the further you go. Now, what about this part of the boat? I don't like that bright white right at the edge of the canvas, so I'm just going to gray that down. And what else can we fill in so that these things start to make shape? More of a golden. Oh, that was gross. I added some cad yellow. See, that was just a green that I didn't even want. I added some green to cad yellow deep. And it was not harmonious with everything else we have here going on. Okay, where do I see this orange color? Right on the side of this window. And there's some kind of round thing going here. So you don't know what these little shapes are. And I could throw in some straight green right here, because I do see something going on there. See, nobody needs to know what these little shapes are. And that's white there. And now I'm going to simplify just so that I can kind of finish this off here. All right, so this boat's going up this way. There's a little white area there. There's a little buoy going here. There's no way we can get it done. It's like close down to the wire. Okay, so basically, we've got a good idea of how this is blocked in, how this starts, and the main point of this lesson was really to take a look at this area here and take a look at the water and see how you can make something look reflective. People are always intimidated by water, but as you can see, I barely got these boats blocked in, but you do have an essence of water. And so it's really, don't let it intimidate you, just go for it. Okay, thank you so much for watching Give Your Walls Some Soul. I'm Shannon Grissom, and look for our Sock Monkey movie.